Hey guys, welcome to the channel. It's time here. Today we're gonna do another dope video, and today we're gonna be reacting to My Story Animated, I think. Uh, wrong, wrong video. Okay, guys, we're gonna be reacting to Meet My Story. I don't think I've watched this video before, so let's get into it.
The wheels are tapping calmly, the train is swaying slightly, and there is a feeling of total freedom. What's not to like? How about the inability to move? Hi everyone, my name is Alexa, and I want to tell a story.
Alexa. Should I go buy Alexa? Not the girl though, like the speaker or something.
Story about how I left for another country without documents, money, or tickets.
Lucky.
It happened because of my restless little sister, Milana. Surely everyone knows the feeling of eternal terror when little brothers and sisters keep crying non-stop, "Play with me, play with me." And the only thing you can do is postpone everything you need to do and go play. Moreover, Milana has always been a very active child, but I love children, so her mischievousness has never been a problem for me. Playing with my little sister put me in a good mood and energized me. And then one day, my father's friend came to visit us. His name was Marco. He was a foreigner and traveled a lot. My father had met him at the International Business Conference, and they had become good friends after that.
Good job.
During one of his business tours,
Good job for you, bro. Good job.
Marco ended up in our city and decided to visit my father. He arrived a few hours before his train was leaving to have a little chat and just relax. But Milana had other plans. Marco spoke with a slight accent. He looked very unusual to us, and it really amused my sister. She was constantly underfoot, trying to show Marco all her toys and simply prevented the adults from talking. My mom asked me to divert Milana's attention before her behavior made my father really angry. I had a hard day at school and I was very tired. I don't want to complain, but that day I had an exam and several tests and ran a cross-country race at the PE lesson as well. After classes,
that's a very, very bad day for you. Very bad day.
I had lessons at the music school, and then I helped my mom clean up at home and cook dinner. Then I even managed to do my homework. And the only thing I wanted to do that evening was to go to bed as soon as possible, instead of entertaining my little sister. But I had no choice, so I suggested that we play hide and seek. I hoped that this would give me at least a little time to sit quietly in a closet, but Milana always found me quickly. I found her even faster. When I was looking for another place to hide, I saw Marco's suitcase. It was very large and almost empty, and I thought perhaps I should hide in the suitcase. At that time, this idea seemed brilliant to me. I didn't have claustrophobia, so I wasn't afraid at all. I had a lot of fun for a couple of minutes. I heard Milana running back and forth, opening all the closets, looking for me under the sofa and behind the curtains. And she had no idea that I was right under her very nose. However, the fun was soon over. The closed suitcase was so soft, dark, and cozy, and I was so tired that my eyes closed and I fell asleep. I woke up when I felt a powerful blow. Then I heard the sound of a car's engine and tried to get up, but I realized that I couldn't do that. I figured out that I had hidden in the suitcase, fallen asleep, and then, apparently, Marco put me in the trunk. Of course, he came for only a few hours, and then he had to take the train. I immediately tried to open the suitcase from the inside, but it didn't work.
Isn't there less air when you're inside?
The lock was jammed shut, and I twisted at the slider so hard that I finally broke it. I started screaming and banging on the walls of the suitcase, but the sound of the engine dampened all my screams. My heart was beating so fast that it seemed like it was about to jump out of my chest. I tried to calm down, telling myself that I had to wait until someone took me out from the trunk. The suitcase. Then I would scream. They would let me out and bring me back home. Simple as that. We were driving for a very long time. It seemed like 2 hours at least. My arms and legs began to become numb. I was thirsty, and it was quite difficult to breathe as well. Because of a lack of oxygen, I really wanted to sleep, and I resisted as much as I could. But in the end, I gave in and fell asleep again. It's worth noting that a closed suitcase full of clothes is a very good noise absorber, especially for those inside of it. It was as if they had put pillows around me, and that's why I heard almost nothing. I woke up when I felt the next blow. The suitcase was put on the ground. I began to scream and beat the suitcase with my hands at once, but they simply ignored me. I screamed louder and louder, but no one heard me. They pulled me on the ground for a few seconds, and then they just threw me somewhere. Then they put something heavy on me, on the suitcase. It was so heavy that the wall of the suitcase bent a little and squeezed me. I was hopeless, so I started crying. I begged that someone would let me out of the suitcase. I heard someone constantly walking near me, and I couldn't understand why they didn't pay attention to me. I kept screaming until I lost my voice. Soon I heard a loud whistle, and my heart sank. The train! I was on the train! Because of my fit, I almost ran out of air in the suitcase. My head started swimming, and I realized that if I wanted to survive, I needed to calm down. I had to breathe less and think more. Firstly, I was locked in the suitcase. Secondly, this suitcase was on the train. Thirdly, I felt disgusting. I had no phone, no food, no water, not even the ability to move. On top of that, it was very dark and very quiet. I heard only the sound of the wheels and rare whistles of the train. I had a claustrophobia attack for the first time in my life. I urgently needed to get out of there. I decided to break the suitcase from the inside and needed a sharp object to do this. I began to rummage in the suitcase, trying to find at least something resembling a knife. Believe me, it was not so easy to do that in the suitcase yogi position. Unfortunately, there were only clothes and a few souvenirs in the suitcase. I tried to break the suitcase with a pocket mirror, but soon I realized that it was useless. Occasionally, somebody came into the carriage and moved around the suitcases. I asked him for help, but he didn't hear me. Once he even put my suitcase upside down, and I had to try very hard to bring the suitcase back to its normal position. I felt like I spent several long and terrible days in the suitcase. I was so hungry and so thirsty. My legs and arms became numb, my neck hurt, my head was constantly swimming, and the endless sound of the wheels drove me crazy. I was sick and tired of even crying. In the end, I simply fainted. I woke up when someone dropped the suitcase to the ground carelessly. I immediately started screaming, and you can't even imagine how happy I was when I heard the astounded screams of other people. Now imagine my disappointment when I realized that no one was going to take me out of the suitcase. A few minutes later, I heard the wailing of a police siren. They put me into a car and took me to an undisclosed location again. And if the suitcase hadn't been opened in 15 more minutes, I probably would have lost my mind. I was taken out of the suitcase at the police station and immediately rushed to the hospital since I couldn't stand on my feet at all and my whole body was bruised. I had to communicate with the police with the help of an interpreter since we spoke different languages and didn't understand each other at all. My story about how I got into the suitcase and left for another country shocked everyone, especially my parents when they got a call from the consulate and were asked to send some documents in order to expedite my return to my home country. They sent me back home by plane on the same day. It took me a few hours to get back. My parents, the police, and a crowd of journalists met me at the airport. It turned out that I had been lost for 5 days, and my parents had been looking for me all this time. My photos had been placarded throughout the city. My friends had been posting on social media. Everyone had been looking for me, but no one could have thought that I would be found in a neighboring country. I spent the next few days in the hospital. I was on a drip and just barely recovered. Marco had serious problems. He was accused of kidnapping a child, and a very severe punishment awaited him. My parents and I decided to take part in the trial as Marco's defenders, not as victims. We understood that he was in no way guilty, and everything that had happened was simply a complete misunderstanding. A real investigation was conducted. Police officers from several countries participated in it. It turned out that after I fell asleep in the suitcase, they put me in the car and took me to the railway station. There, I was handed over to a baggage handler who was an elderly man with hearing problems. He didn't even hear my screams at all because of poor hearing. During a 3-day train ride in the baggage car, I fell into a hungry faint and came around only when Marco arrived at the hotel. It turned out to be very, very difficult to prove that the whole story of kidnapping was just an accident, and I was extremely happy when Marco was found not guilty. I immediately apologized to him for everything I had done. My parents even offered him money compensation for moral damage, but he refused to take it. Marco said that he was at fault in the story too. After all, he was an adult who should have noticed that something was wrong with the suitcase. I realized that one should not touch other people's things, as well as fall asleep in someone else's suitcase. Thanks for listening to my story. Tell me, have you ever traveled by train? Answer in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
And my channel. Bye. Okay guys, that is it for today, and that is it. Yeah, and bye.